Welcome to the Stable 26 experience. My name is Dr. Daryl Sherman. Today we're going to talk about the function of the foot, footwear fitting, and how they both work together better. So the one thing I'd like to talk to you about first is we describe as negative space. Negative space is basically defined as areas around the foot, gaps around the foot that don't contribute to normal, solid foot mechanics. So that space is basically created by the fact that there's no piece of footwear in the world that's made exactly for your foot. They're made for average size feet. If we look at the average size 10.5 shoe, generally they come in size Ds and double Es, which means that we're trying to put most people's foot into a regular or wide category. We tend to focus at Stable 26 on the heel. The heel is a spot, we can measure the length of the foot and we can measure the width of the forefoot, but unfortunately we just can't measure the heel, and the heel is where all the mechanics happen. So because there's no piece of footwear in the world that's made exactly for your foot, our goal is to make it as close as possible, particularly in the most mechanical spot, which we can't measure. Okay, so the next step is, what is Stable 26? We know that there's negative space in and around the heel that detract for both comfort and performance. What we've done at Stable 26 is we've innovated in the sock industry. We have redefined socks as not being just yarn anymore. Socks are basically the point of connection between the mechanics of your feet and the mechanics of your footwear. And what we focus on at Stable 26 is improving the fit of everyone that leaves the store. At the end of the day, this is not a sock story, this is a fit story. We want everyone that wears footwear to have the best fitting footwear in a place that we can't measure, with the most mechanics happening at the same time. So what we've developed is a sock that can be custom modified with different thicknesses of silicone to take up the negative space around the heel and provide a better fit. At Stable 26, we've spent the last 7 years testing almost exclusively with pro athletes. This is not a product for pro athletes, it's a product for everyone. The reason for using pro athletes was they have custom fit footwear, they have apparently the best fitters, they have the ability to change their footwear before their footwear changes on them, and they have the highest physical demands. So vetting our product with professional athletes would allow us to vet ourselves with the consumer market, where you don't have all those options for custom fit footwear and the ability to change. The Stable 26 ski products come in two different versions. First is the Ski Pro, which has no tibial pads. They come pre-populated with a 2mm pad on the inside and a 4mm pad on the outside. The Ski Tibial version comes with optional tibial pads that help prevent boot bang and shin bang. Each pair of socks comes with a mesh bag for laundering. You keep the silicone in the pockets when you wash and dry them. Each one also comes with a fitting guide that describes in detail the fitting protocols that we go through to ensure the best fit. If you need further fitting options, custom fit packs are available separately to give you 32 different fit combinations. So here we have a very typical foot. Showing some anatomical landmarks. This is the rear foot, our midfoot, and our forefoot. This is the lateral malleolus, which we'll call the outside ankle bone. This is the medial malleolus, which we'll call the inside ankle bone. This is the fibula, which is the bone on the outside of the leg, and the tibia in front. If we take a look at other anatomical landmarks, the important part of the Stable 26 product are the lateral and medial stabilizers that help to stabilize the subtalar joint. The subtalar joint controls the entire foot in front of it, as well as the entire lower extremity. And we can see how the subtalar joint moves as I move it directly. So we see the arch collapsing, and we see this joint is essentially the master control system for the foot in front of it and the lower extremity. Okay, so here we are with Jesse, and what we're going to do is we're going to fit him with a new ski boot today. So I'm going to skip a couple of steps, and when we're going to fit a new ski boot, essentially what we want to do more than anything else is we want to observe his foot. We want to observe his foot in a non-weight bearing position and in a fully weight bearing position. We want to see how it changes. We're going to do our measurements. So we're going to take the length of his foot. We're going to look at the width of his forefoot. We're going to try to estimate or guesstimate the size and shape of his heel. And the goal from there is to be able to go to the ski boot wall and get the shape of the ski boot that most closely represents the shape of his foot. At the end of the day, we're trying to make sure that we can get the best fit out of any ski boot on the wall. So Jesse's put the socks on right now. You'll notice On this sock, he essentially has the ski tibia version on, which has a piece of silicone that wraps the lower tibia so that we can take up the space behind the tongue. Jesse mentioned to me before that he gets some shin bang or some boot bang, so that's the version of sock that we chose for him. The other sock is called our Ski Pro version, and essentially it's a thin sock that has that doesn't have the tibial pad in the front. So Jesse, if you put your foot up here for me. The next step of the evaluation here is to make sure that the pockets are in exactly the right spot. We want those pockets to be directly below and behind the ankle bones here, both on the outside and the inside at the same time. We want to make sure that the silicone is laying flat and that it's not rising up on the ankle bones or coming down below the heel. Our socks come in 5 different sizes, from extra small to extra large. It's really important to evaluate whether the sock fits appropriately or not. You might find that the pocket rises up over the ankle bone. That's usually an indication that the sock is too big and you need to drop down a size. If the pocket ends up below the heel, that usually indicates that the sock is too small and we need to go up a size. So what comes in the box of the Ski Tibia version, in this version, is a 2mm pad on the inside and a 4mm pad on the outside. It's exactly the same for the Ski Pro version. This will fit 75 to 80% of your population out of the box. You throw it on, people will have a better day in their boots. If we find that we need to adjust it from there, then we can go, and with a custom fit pack, this will give you about 32 different fit combinations with the extra silicone. What's also in the box here is a tibial pad. So essentially this is a piece of silicone that is beveled and hinged so that it wraps the lower part of the tibia. Jesse had mentioned to me before that he had some boot bang. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this 10mm piece of silicone to take up the space behind the tongue to ensure that he's got better connection between the front of his foot, front of his leg, and the area behind the tongue. So I'm going to get you to put that boot on. Okay, so now that Jesse has the ski boot on, we're going to start asking our questions. We've already predetermined that this was the right ski boot for him, that sort of thing. He's got footbeds in, he's had his liners heated and custom molded, so now the job of Stable 26 is to be able to finish the job, to take up that negative space. As a fitter, it is so difficult to understand how much space is around the heel without having different scenarios where we can ask questions and change. So what we want to feel in this position is that the heel is nice and supported. So we're going to ask that question over and over again. How does your heel fit? Describe it in as much detail as you can. What we want to hear is that that heel is nice and supported. What we don't want to hear, and remember, negative feedback to a fitter is very positive in almost any way because it directs us to where we're going to go next. So the things that we don't want to hear are, you know, I feel pressure around my heel. That's obviously not a good thing. I feel pain around my heel. That's obviously not a good thing as well. The other things we might hear is I feel a little bit of numbness. That's an indication that we've got too much silicone. The next thing we don't want to hear is, you know what, it feels like my toe is now brushing the edge of the boot. That means that we've got too much silicone and we can't move to the back. So we have taken a lot of the guesswork out for you, started you off at 0.0, which is 2mm pad on the inside and 4mm pad on the outside. So we've asked all those questions. Everything feels good so far. We're going to ask Jesse now to do the boot up. So now with the ski boot done up, we're going to go through those same questions again. I'm going to get Jesse to stand up for me. And what we're going to do is we're going to put him in a weight-bearing position, okay? And we're going to ask the same questions. How does the heel fit? Describe how it feels in as much detail as you can. Again, we're going to look for things like my heel feels nice and supported. I feel like I'd use less silicone. I feel like I could use more silicone. I've got pain. I've got numbness, whatever it is. It'll direct us to where we go next. So assuming that we have pretty good coverage behind the tongue, which we've done, we've taken up that space around the tongue, and we have pretty good coverage in the heel, then we go from there. If Jesse says to me, I feel like I have too much silicone, then we'll have to reduce the amount of silicone around the heel. And how we do that is very simple. We have a 2mm pad on the inside and a 4mm pad on the outside. The next step is to go to a 2mm pad on the inside and a 2mm pad on the outside. So essentially what we've done is we just dropped the amount of silicone by 2 millimeters. We see more often than not, we want to take away silicone from the inside and build from the outside. As the foot drops inwards, sometimes it's a little bit irritating having too much silicone on the inside. So what we do is we actually build from the outside first. So we drop from 2 to 2. If he says to me, you know what, I feel like I hardly feel the silicone, I feel like I could use more, then what we would do is we would move to a 4mm pad on the inside and continue having that 4mm pad on the outside. So now we would have 8mm of silicone around the heel. Those 3 combinations, the 0.0 what comes in the box, the 2 and 2, and the 4 and 4 will fit 97% of your population. As we said, we can take this to the nth degree. We could have left foot having more silicone than the right foot, you know, that sort of thing, and we see that all the time. So, provided that this is the right scenario, then we would say, Jesse, have a great day on the hill. There are multiple ways to sell the Stable 26 product in the ski store. People tend to have a love-hate relationship with their boots, no matter how good their fitter is. And we have a lot of really good fitters. The goal at the end of the day is to make sure that every new pair of ski boots gets fit with a pair of our socks. We're not selling socks, we're selling a concept of fit. At the end of the day, we want to make sure that everyone leaves the store with the best pair of ski boots possible, the best fit. Ski boots, liners, they change over time. The goal is we want to have almost everyone maintain that fit from start to finish. So utilizing that dynamic boot fitting principle, boot fit at point of purchase is very important. It's important in the afternoon as the boot changes from the morning to the afternoon. It's important at month 12, at month 60. So the goal of Stable 26 is this is a product that is built by fitters, for consumers. At Stable 26, our ultimate goal is to sell a concept of fit. We want to ensure that every single person coming through your store leaves the store with the best fit. This is not about selling socks. This is about ensuring that all of your customers have the best experience as they leave the store. Footwear is so important to us that we want that footwear to fit from start to finish. We developed a concept that we call dynamic boot fitting, and boot fitting or shoe fitting or skate fitting should be every bit as important at point of purchase as it is in month 2, in month 6, in month 60. So at the end of the day, fit equals performance and comfort.